Hey everybody, I'm Tim, and today we joined the battle to save premium cigars. You're watching Cigars Daily. Up front, I'm going to give you a couple disclaimers, but they're good ones. First of all, this video is intended to educate on the craftsmanship and the artistry of premium cigars, and at this point also some of the regulation, so that we can all understand better what we're fighting for and what we stand to gain. Also, you can get more out of this video when you watch it on Rumble and Cigars Daily Plus, where I'll give a little bit more of my own take on this. And finally, this video takes no stance on anything political, one side or the other. We're literally just discussing the definition of premium cigars. And one of my favorite things about this industry is that premium cigars and the community that's built around it represents just about every single walk of life out there. And so my work is to have fun, educate, entertain, and enjoy all of this with you, regardless of what your background or beliefs are. And now on with the show. This is going to feel maybe like kind of a weird question, but what is a cigar? We use this term in our culture all the time. When this interstellar object in our solar system called Oumuamua came by, everyone said it's a cigar-shaped asteroid or meteorite or mothership from another alien space civilization or whatever. We talk about a cigar as if we know exactly what it is, but I think if we sort of unpack it, we see that the definition of a premium cigar really actually doesn't fully exist. Like a great example would be this. When you go into most cigar lounges, what you're going to see is what's considered, I think by most, a premium handmade cigar. A luxury item that's designed for relaxation, enjoyment, flavor experience, and community. But does that include the stuff that sits behind the shelf at the gas station, behind the cash register? Also, what really constitutes a premium cigar? How much of that thing needs to be made out of leaf for it to be a cigar? Can there be some paper in there? I mean, certain products have papers in them. Is that still technically a cigar? These days, if you go out, you're going to find that all kinds of things say cigar on the packaging. And today, there is a colossal legal battle going on to determine exactly what gets to be called this, especially premium cigar designation, and what doesn't. And today, we're going to discuss why this is and what all of us stand to benefit and gain from it. So I'll take you through a little history and then we'll dive in really deep to where we're going to end up. First of all, this is something that if you've been into cigars for a while, you'll be more or less familiar with, and that is terrifying regulation. Over the last about 10 years, the premium cigar industry where I live and work has been, terrified, traumatized, absolutely mortified at regulations that have come along that would seek to basically wipe our industry out from existence, make it almost impossible, not only for cigar makers to do what they love and practice their craft, but also for aficionados to get together and build community around the experience of a cigar. And so these battles have been happening legislatively, in courts, in the judicial branch, and among people who sue each other like they're firing bullets from a gun. It's just pew, 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 lawsuit, 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 and it's fun to watch, but it's equally just about as terrifying. The main thing that happened was the FDA came down with what they called a deeming rule that proposed a bunch of new regulations. Now, at this point, those regulations have been shot down. And so the premium cigar industry lives to fight another day. But one thing that came out of this argument was the question of what truly defines a premium handmade cigar. And the goal here is to give cigars a definition so that they can live. It's basically the same thing as the never-ending story when he needs to give the queen a name, right? This is like, it's just simply define it. And how do we separate premium handmade cigars from all of the other tobacco leaf products out there so that handmade cigars don't get absolutely smushed by regulations, which is basically always a threat? You see, when regulators come along and they put out new things for tobacco, most other segments of the tobacco world are significantly larger than handmade premium cigars. And so when they regulate them, these regulations become unbelievably expensive, and some parts of the industry can survive it, and our part of the industry often can't. Most handmade cigar companies are family-owned and operated companies that operate on really small quantities of products and much smaller revenue dollars than what you would call big tobacco. In fact, I've even heard statistics numbers that would suggest that premium handmade cigars are an extremely small percentage of just cigars in America every year, as little as like 1 to 2%, meaning that most of the cigars out there are this type of stuff you'd find at a gas station. These are also called machine-made cigars. And so what really is the argument? What are we trying to say that a premium handmade cigar is? For this video, because there's some technical stuff in it, I printed out some notes here so I could read some of this off to you, but I want to give you a working definition and sort of a rebuttal to that working definition to let you know where we stand now. I need to be upfront and tell you that as I sit here making this video, there's no legal definition for what qualifies as a handmade premium cigar on the books. We haven't really agreed on it, but there is sort of a proposed definition that goes back to the year 2020. This is one that the FDA backs and is also backed by pro-cigar groups like PCA, or the Premium Cigar Association, and CRA, Cigar Rights of America. And both of those are groups that I'm a member of. But at the same time, there's another group, CAA, which is the Cigar Association of America, who's got a bit of a different take on it, and I'll walk you through it. The 2020 working definition of what is a premium cigar would say that in order for it to be called premium and handmade, it's got to have a whole leaf wrapper. Now, it doesn't mean that there are cigars out there with partial leaf. What it separates is cigars with a leaf wrapper versus cigars that have got this amalgamation of like shredded up tobacco glued together into like a paper that's then rolled around a cigar. And that's what a lot of machine-made stuff use. So a whole leaf wrapper is a part of a handmade cigar. A 100% leaf binder, also meaning that's not made out of this tobacco paper amalgamation, it's at least 50% long filler by volume, which would allow many of the Cuban sandwiches that most brands make today to still be considered a handmade premium cigar. It's hand-rolled or handmade without using machinery. This would separate handmade cigars from machine-made cigars in a significant way. The only thing allowed in a handmade cigar would be simple tools, like I got one right here, a knife or scissors. This is a chaveta. This is the kind of knife that with a rounded blade that they use to carve up your wrapper leaf and put it beautifully and evenly onto a handmade premium cigar. It cannot have any filter or tip on it. I think cigar smokers would respect that. It's only made of tobacco, water, and vegetable gum, which is the cigar glue at the top. They're at least 6 pounds per 1,000, which has to do with the size, and may not surprise you, cigars are incredibly light. So if they weigh 6 pounds per 1,000 units, that would be premium handmade. And the big one, and this is where we're going to kind of stick, is has no characterizing flavor. Maybe you've noticed over the last few years that politicians have been really running and gunning for the flavored cigar world. In fact, a whole administration went after this very recently, and now we're looking into should this be a handmade premium cigar or not if it has what you'd call a characterizing flavor. I'm going to ask you to answer this question down in the comments because this is like a big sticking point. There's other little minutia to this, but this is the big thing. You see, all these different parts of the definition of a premium cigar are designed to do one thing. Like I said, create a carve out for premium cigars to separate the art and culture that we love from a lot of the bigger mass market products where regulations are almost definitely coming. Premium cigars do definitely stand on their own in terms of the way that people view them and even the way that people use them. And so how much can we separate them in hopes of saving our industry from being smushed quite easily by regulators? And so when it comes to the working definition of a premium cigar that says no characterizing flavors, it seems like the FDA and PCA and the CRA all feel like excluding flavored cigars from the definition of a premium handmade cigar would keep the whole cigar industry safer over the long term. Their argument is that this would give us a clearer, more tightly knit, well-defined definition of what a handmade cigar is or a premium cigar that would keep us protected better from regulation. However, as I said before, the CAA dissents from this opinion just a little bit. You see, the Cigar Association of America crafted their own definition of what a handmade premium cigar should be that includes many of the working definition points with a few exceptions. They say it should have a whole leaf wrapper. It should have a 100% leaf binder. So far, we're tracking good. That the wrapper, binder, and filler should be manually combined, which is a little bit of a different way of saying that not made by a machine. They should be at least 6 pounds per thousand, and they should be capped by hand with no filter or tip. So as you can see, it's very similar definition with one substantial outline conclusion. The CAA does not exclude cigars with a characterizing flavor from their list of premium cigars. And they actually have a pretty good argument as to why. You see, the CAA says that at no point has the FDA defined what a characterizing flavor is. And that's actually kind of a big problem. Whether we're talking about infused or flavored cigars or even sweet tip cigars or non-infused, more traditional cigars, what exactly is a characterizing flavor? Can you tell me what that is? Is it a flavor that's added? Is it a flavor that you can taste? Nobody's defined it. And at the same time, it seems like our government has a real problem using terms for which there's no clear definition. They use these terms and they can't even really define them well. And I'm talking about terms like assault rifle or woman. They have a hard time getting hung up on these things. And so if we go forward with trying to create this tight-knit definition of a handmade cigar or a premium handmade cigar, and it specifically says no characterizing flavor, where is the line drawn? Does it have to taste like cherries, something very unnatural? Or does a cigar that has flavor tasting notes like leather and earth and, citrus or sunflower seed shells, does that count as a characterizing flavor, even though that flavor is native to the leaf? And so even as I'm making this video, we all live in this sort of limbo. If I say to you, premium handmade cigar, especially if you're in the Cigars Daily Nation, I trust that you know what that means. In our world and in our community, it seems like people have a pretty good understanding of what a handmade cigar is. It's cigars made by world-famous cigar makers, families like the Olivas and Plasencias, incredible cigar makers like Eric Espinosa, Steve Saka, AJ Fernandez. And my list of these could go on and on because there are so many incredible, capable, and skilled premium cigar makers out there. And people in the cigar community also seem to have an innate natural understanding of the types of cigar or even other tobacco products that they don't like. One thing I've always found fascinating about premium cigar community is that the people who are in it seem to have very little regard for cigarettes and the gas station type cigars. It's almost like premium cigar smokers look down on that kind of stuff. In the same way that I imagine that wine snobby snobs look down on, Pabst Blue Ribbon and stuff like that. A lot of these guys joke around when they see stuff at the gas station and say, I'm gonna get this for my special occasion cigar. And everybody laughs at it because everyone sort of gets the joke here. But just because we all understand what this word cigar means and means in our culture doesn't mean that regulators are going to understand that at all. Because once again, it seems like regulators don't understand a ton unless you define it very specifically for them. And so this battle will rage on for a while. Coincidentally, the judge who's going to be making the decision on this is Judge Amit P. Mehta, who's the same judge who oversaw the FDA versus the cigar industry with the deeming rule and all the regulations. This was a case that came out in 2016, which very recently the cigar industry won. It's why we're all still here today. It's why cigar makers get to keep doing what they love. And with any luck, we are going to come out of this with some sort of definition of what a premium cigar is that helps protect what we care about and our communities from being overtaxed, from being overregulated, and from destroying a massive cigar making culture that runs across Latin America and supports entire economies. So I do want to know from you, what do you think? Should flavored cigars be included in the definition of a premium cigar? And if you could come up with your own definition of what a handmade premium cigar is, how would you define it? Put it down in the comments below. I'm going to tell you a little bit more of my thoughts on this, but I'm only going to do that on Rumble and on the community on Cigars Daily Plus. So I invite you guys to join me there to get even more out of this video. I want to thank you all so much for watching. This is Tim signing off for Cigars Daily, and I will see you in the comments.